For you to change a verb into the past, remember I said that we use auxiliary verbs. And these auxiliary verbs are known as helping verbs. They are two, avoir and être. Avoir and être. Avoir is used when the verb does not involve movement. That is to say, is not a movement verb. An example of a movement verb is the verb aller, which means to go, the verb to come, venir, to come. These two are movement verbs, and they are not the only movement verbs that we have. Probably some of you have questions. I can see some of you raising up your hands. Listen first, and later on you will ask your questions. I will answer your questions, okay? But if you have problem connecting, you can send in a chat. Let us understand where the problem is from. But if your questions are based on what I'm teaching you now, kindly listen first and you will follow. D'accord? Oui, d'accord, je sais. Okay. We are looking at what? La grammaire. And the main topic is what? La formation de verbe au passé composé. And I said that we use two verbs, and these are helping verbs, auxiliary verbs, to take another verb into the past. When a verb involves movement, you don't need to use avoir to take it into the past. You can only use être to take a movement verb into the past. Let me read this out for you. Please just listen. Pour former de verbes au passé composé, nous avons deux verbes à utiliser. Ils sont les auxiliaires, avoir et être. Normalement, on utilise le verbe avoir, conjugué au présent, pour former ou bien pour faire le passé composé de verbes. Just like you do in English language. When you are to take a verb into the past tense, for regular verbs, you add ed. Example, jump, jumped, play, played, cook, cooked. All these are what? Regular verbs. But for irregular verbs, you don't add ed. Example, eat, ate, sit, sat, fling, flung. You can see they are not the same as adding ed. You have to play by the rule of any language when you are forming, for example, the present tense, the past tense, the future tense, as the case may be. You have to play by the rule. Here we are looking at what? Past tense. In English language, when you are changing a verb into the past tense, you don't need a helping verb in that second column. But when you are getting into the second column, the past participle, you must need a verb. And that verb is the helping verb. Example, you say in the present, I eat. Past tense, I ate. Past participle, I have eaten. Do you say I eaten? No. You don't say I eaten. You need a helping verb to go into that state. That is the reason you will say, I have eaten. The verb to have has helped you to go into that past participle. In French language, what we are saying, when you are going into that past tense, please go with a helping verb. Do not wait till you get to the third column. No. As soon as you are going to the past tense, please go with what? Go with a helping verb. And your helping verb can be avoir if the verb does not involve movement. But when that verb involves movement, go with être. If we have 100 verbs, you will agree with me that majority of them do not involve movement. So you have a little that involves what? Movement. And those ones that will go into the past with être, those ones, please take note. Those ones that go into the past with être, they behave like adjectives. What do I mean by this? They respect the gender. They respect the singular form. They also respect the plural form. Good a thing they are not what? They are not many. For you to say, it is complex. No, it's not complex. It's just for you to understand how this is done. Then you follow it. Please, I want you to copy what you have seen. And I know that some of you have copied, but it is always good to listen very well before you copy. I will always give you time to copy. Please, understanding is better before you start copying. Please take note. I want us to look at how these verbs are conjugated into the past. How some of these verbs like donner, regarder, avoir. Okay, let us start with the verb donner. The verb donner. For you to conjugate the verb donner into the past, you have to use the verb avoir. The verb avoir conjugated into into present tense, not future tense. Into present tense, this is the verb avoir. We have to conjugate it into what? Into present tense. When you conjugate the verb avoir into present tense, you are going to have here j'ai, tu as, il, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, il, elle, ont. And what's the meaning of j'ai? It means I have. Tu as. You have. Il a. He has. Elle a. She has. Nous avons. We have. Vous avez. You have. And remember, vous here is the you plural, which we use for our senior, a group of people, or somebody you're meeting for the first time. You're not familiar with that person. You use what? Vous. You use it to accord what? Respect as well. Ils ont. Elles ont. They have. Here we have they feminine, they masculine. Remember that even if you have 1,000 girls and a boy, you will use what? ILS. You will not say because you have more of girls, then you will go for ELLES. No, you have to play by the rule. So when you conjugate your avoir into the present tense, you now do what? You now add the past participle of the verb. And for all regular ER verbs, the past participle is kindly remove the R. Remove what? R. Remove R. Then add accent aigu on top of E. This is what I mean by the accent aigu. This accent on top, the tone marking. This is accent aigu. You add it on top. This is the past participle. And you can only use this in a sentence when you have conjugated your avoir into the present tense. Then you add your past participle. You do what? You add your past participle. For you to say, I gave, in French language, it must be this, j'ai donné. J'ai donné. Tu as donné. You gave. Tu as donné. Il, elle, on a donné. Nous avons donné. Vous avez donné. Ils, elles ont donné. You would have noticed that the verb avoir appeared in all of them because we are respecting the rule given to us to conjugate a verb that does not involve movement into the past. From j'ai to il, I believe you have seen that the donné, the spellings are all the same. The spellings are what? They are all the same. Okay, I have to give you 2 minutes to copy this. The verb donner into the past tense. The verb donner. Donner. And donner means what? To give. And when you say j'ai donné, it means I gave. Here, the E is removed because this A, remember, is a vowel, and you shouldn't have both of them here. I know a question would be, why is the U not removed, or the L, the E here, not removed? The rule for this conjugation says that when you are conjugating using the personal pronouns, pay attention to the first person singular, which is je. Pay attention to it and remove the E. Put apostrophe if the next word begins with what? Begins with a vowel, and we have done that. Okay. Yes. This is quite simple for you to copy, and I know you must have done justice to it. Let us move on to the next verb. And our next verb here is the verb regarder. The verb regarder. Regarder means to look. To look. And for you to conjugate it into the past, remember, it's a regular ER verb. What do? remove R. Remove what? Remove R. And add accent aigu on top of your letter E. The accent that goes down from top to down, maintaining the left side of the letter, is known as accent grave. And this one that goes from down to top of your letter E is known as what? Accent aigu, giving it the louder sound. And when you use accent grave, the sound is what? Lighter. This here is heavier. That is why we say, j'ai regardé, j'ai regardé. So for all regular ER verbs, please, you remove what? You remove R. Add accent aigu on top of your letter E, so long as it is not what? A movement verb. J'ai regardé, it can be watched as well. Watched. J'ai regardé la télévision. Yes, sir. I watched the television last night. J'ai regardé les photos ou bien les images du Nigeria. I watched what? The pictures of where? Of Nigeria. You know, in Nigeria, we have a lot of beautiful places, beautiful sights to behold. J'ai regardé. Telling you that regarder can also be watched. Regarder, watched, looked. Tu as regardé. You looked. You watched. Il a, elle a regardé. She has watched. That is how it is in past participle. But in simple past tense, what do you say? She watched. She watched. Because the rules said the moment we are going into past tense, that we should go with what? We should go with a helping verb. We should go with a helping verb, and we have done that. The first person plural here is what? Nous. Nous avons regardé. Nous avons regardé. We watched. As simple as it is. We watched. Vous avez regardé. You watched. Remember, this you here is what? You plural. You use for your senior, for a group of people, and for someone you're meeting for the first time. The last person here is what? The last person plural. The third person plural. Ils ont regardé. Elles ont regardé. Elles ont regardé les étudiants qui jouent au foot. They watched the students who were playing what? Football. Bon. Avez-vous copié? Vous avez copié? Je vais vous donner 2 minutes seulement. 2 minutes. J'ai regardé, tu as regardé, il, elle a regardé, nous avons regardé, vous avez regardé, ils ont, elles ont regardé. With this, you can conjugate hundreds of regular ER verbs, all those verbs that do not involve movement. You use this pattern and conjugate them. You remove R, add accent aigu on top of your letter E. Use avoir in the present tense, and you conjugate your verbs into the past. Very simple, as you can see it here. Okay, let us move on. Remember, this is our avoir. This is our helping verb. You can also take this verb into the past. You use it. It will help itself to go into the past. Have you not heard of I had? Is it not a past tense? Yes, it is. I have had. Is it not? It is. Which verb helped that verb to have to go into the past? It is its auxiliary verb, that is what? Avoir, the verb to have. In the present tense, it has helped itself here to go into the past. Passé composé, past tense of the verb to have in French language. The past participle of it is what? Eu. Eu. J'ai eu. Tu as eu. Il, elle a eu. Nous avons eu. Vous avez eu. Il, elles ont eu. Remember, this is English. This is not English language. Do not say it sounds like eu. No, this is French language. This is what? French language. J'ai eu. Tu as eu. Il, elle a eu. Nous avons eu. Vous avez eu. Ils, elles ont eu. Which simply means what? I had, you had, he or she had, we had, you had, they had. Okay, please copy. Starting from the present tense, have it on its own, the verb avoir, into present tense, so that you will not get confused. You should know that it is totally different from the verb être. We will also go into the verb être, which is the verb to be. And it is a helping verb for all those verbs that involve what? That involve movement. Remember, I said that when a verb takes être to go into the past, it behaves like an adjective, respecting the gender, the singular, the plural form of it. Okay, I believe you have finished copying this. Let me scroll. These are verbs that you use commonly. Now we are looking at the verb être. For the benefit of the doubt, I know that some of you have not finished. Let me give you some seconds. Some seconds. All right, time up. Let us look at the verb être. Please, if you didn't finish, you have your textbooks and they are in your textbooks, please. Now we are looking at the verb être. This is the verb to be, conjugated into the present tense. It is this verb that you use to talk about yourself as well. Je suis nigériane. Je suis un garçon. Je suis une fille. Je suis ceci, je suis cela. Je suis magnifique. It is this verb that you use. This is the verb to be. When you conjugate it in English language, you have I am, you are, he or she is. We are, you are, they are. This is the verb to be. To be is the infinitive form of it in English language. And in French, it is what? Être. You should know this verb. By the time you start writing your essay in French language, because definitely in your JSS, you should know how to write essay. In your external examination, you will have essay to write as well. If you don't start on time to practice, it will be difficult. But I believe you will obey and follow suit. I will guide you. Être is the verb to be, conjugated here into the present tense. And I said that it takes some verbs to go into the past, especially those verbs that involve what? Movement. And when they take verbs into the past tense, je, tu, il, nous, vous, it, when they take verbs into the past, these verbs, they behave like adjectives. You see, if you have finished copying this, let me kindly explain. Je suis means what? I am. Tu es, you are. Il, elle est. He or she is. Nous sommes, we are. Vous êtes, you are. Ils, elles sont, they are. If you're to conjugate a verb like aller into the past, is this helping verb that you will use? You will now have je suis allé, tu es allé, il, elle est allée, nous sommes allés, vous êtes allés, ils sont allés, elles sont allées. But your allé now will respect the gender. A girl will now have double E. A boy will have one E, single E. When you have E letter lay, that allé will have just one E and not double E. In your ERC examination, you are going to have some questions like this for you to choose from the option. You have aller with double E, single E, aller with ES, aller with double ES. And you'll be wondering, is this a mistake? No, it is not a mistake. It is simply telling you that the verb in question has gone into the past with what? With être. And that is why it is behaving as such. When être takes itself, the verb to be, to go into the past, it remains constant. It remains what? The same. Example is what you are seeing. And how does it go into the past? It goes into the past with avoir. It goes into the past with avoir. Être does not go into the past with être. It goes into the past with avoir. It remains what? It remains the same in the past tense. Because whenever avoir takes a verb to the past, the verb remains what? Remains the same. Remember our regarder, our donner, where you have to do what? Remove R and put what? Accent aigu on top of your last letter. That is letter E. Here we have jeter. Jeter. And the question is, what's the meaning of jeter? If je suis is I am, and we are taking this into the past, what should jeter mean? As simple as ABC. I was. J'étais. I was. That is the past tense. I am, present tense. I was. Bon. Ici, on y va. Nous avons, tu as été. Il, elle a été. Nous avons été. Vous avez été. Ils ont été. Elles ont été. This is our être conjugated into the word past tense, passé composé. Être, remember, is known as what? The verb to be. The verb to be. Here we have it in the present tense, then past tense. Okay, let me also give you some minutes to be sure you will copy the conjugation of these into your books. And you have to go through them, not just to copy, you have to go through them. Understand them very well. And remember that soon you will be physically present at school. Okay, believing that you must have finished copying, I'll give you some works to do. Maintenant, vous allez faire la conjugaison des verbes suivants au passé composé. The verb to speak, parler. The verb to eat, manger. The verb to ask, demander. The verb to swim, nager. And the last verb here, the verb to greet, saluer. Remember, it is very, very important to greet. Do not wait for anybody to remind you to greet. You're going to conjugate these verbs into the past tense. You're to use the verb avoir to conjugate them. Please, when it comes to verbs that take être to go into the past, they are not many. Majority of them are what? Are movement verbs. When it comes to real movement verbs. And there are some, yes, there are some verbs that involve movement. For example, when you're dancing, you're moving. It's not that kind of, no, we're not talking about that. Danser goes into the past with avoir. Avoir. Probably because être behaves like adjective. That is the reason. The verbs it takes into the past are not many. Are not many. They are limited to real movement verbs. Copy your homework. Try as much as you can to do them. Practice more. There are so many verbs that you can practice on your own. You can always send to me. You can always request for assistance if you need. Okay, a quick review of today's lesson. Remember, your topic is what? Passé composé. Passé composé. Past tense. And when we talk about past tense in French language, we simply talk about actions we have done in the past. For you to take a verb into the past, you will go with a helping verb. And our helping verb can be avoir or être. Avoir or être. Conjugated into what? Present tense. Then you add the past participle of that verb. Please do not make that mistake of using être to conjugate a verb that is supposed to take avoir and go into the past. If you do it, grammatically it will not be correct. Which means you have to know the verb that must go into the past with avoir, and you use it. And for the ones that will go into the past with être, you use. Please do not make that mistake. Remember, I have used movement verbs in order for you to have an idea of the verbs that you will use être to take into the past. And there are not many. Majority of the verbs, they go into the past using avoir. And when they use avoir to go into the past, their past participles, their end forms are all the same. They are all the same. For example, we have seen what? The verb donner, which means to give. And for all regular ER verbs, please remove R, and add what? Accent aigu on top of letter E, as it is here. As you have seen donner, it is the past participle of this verb, the verb to give. So for all regular ER verbs, for all what? All regular ER verbs, remove R, letter R, and add accent aigu on top of your letter E. Then conjugate avoir into what? Into the present tense. Conjugate avoir into the present tense and do what? Add the end forms of the verb. Example is what you can see here. J'ai regardé. Tu as regardé. Il, elle a regardé. Nous avons regardé. Vous avez regardé. All the same. Here we also have donner, the verb to give. Donner. And when you are conjugating this verb, please, you remove R. And you now have this. C'est très facile, comme A, B, C. It's quite easy, like A, B, C. Vraiment facile. All you need to do is to follow the rule. And when you follow the rule, even if I should give you 100 ER verbs, 100 regular ER verbs, is the same method you're going to use, and you get your conjugation done. Okay? Please, if you have questions, you can send in via chat. I will respond to your questions. I'm not seeing your chats. I'm checking. I'm checking. I can't see your chats. Yes. You still have time to send in your chats. Please, you can ask your questions. I think our lesson has to end for today. Wishing you the very best. Make sure you read your books. Okay, I'm going to unmute some of you in order to ask your questions. Yes. Kindly unmute Mofunaya. Yes, Mofunaya. Our time is up. Gori. Okay. In the absence of these questions coming in, I believe we can call it a day now. Wishing you the very best.
Bitch, my leg is broken.
Hello, Camila.
Hello?
Hello, Camila.
Hello? Good
Hello.
afternoon, Madam Margaret.
How are you?
Hello? I can hear you.
Good.
I'm fine.
Good. Do you have any questions? Camila? Do you have questions? Camila? Okay, let me believe that you don't have questions to ask. Okay. Wishing you the very best.